Digital monsters, Digimon are the champions. I'm making myself laugh sometimes. Hi, hello, hi there, hello. I don't know what I'm doing today. I just felt like, I wasn't gonna come on today. But then I was like, might as well. And it's not just because I don't want to help my mom with what she's asking me to do. Also, it's a little extra shadowy today. Um, because my laptop right here. But I did want to come on and do a bunch of one cards. I got the old novelty deck out, and I can't believe it's already almost August. One of my new favorite readers posted her first August video, and I'm like, girl, I mean, I already knew it was almost August, but still, it hits different when the readings start to come out. So let's see. Let's do a general check-in. I want 2 cards. Okay. Well, first card is this the Barbarian? No, it's the Knight. Yeah, it is the Barbarian, the Knight of Swords, which is interesting. Hey, Casey, because literally just saw this dude. The Knight of Swords Barbarian is about the power of truth to cut through dense forests. How are you doing today? And it's the power of truth to really cut at the heart of the matter, to dispel anything that is extra or excess. And then we have the Seven of Swords, the Cannibal, and the Three of Swords, the Alien, and also the Six of Pentacles, Arachne, which is an interesting break from all the swords. So what is he cutting to the heart of? The Seven of Swords and this Three of Swords. I feel like this is an illusion of separation energy. Okay, well, let's try this. This is an energy of an illusion of separation. And not only an illusion of separation, but since there's this energy of alienation and isolation with the Seven of Swords, it's almost like it makes us easier prey for the giant. This is the Three of Swords. I think I said 7. It's almost like it makes us easier prey for this giant and the cannibal. And this is kind of sort of what we're getting out of. But interestingly enough, the only way out of this energy seems to be the Six of Pentacles approach, which is about us within ourselves not doing to other people what we don't like to be done to us. And it's so interesting because I've been thinking about dynamics of control lately for reasons not related to personal issues in my life at all. But I've been thinking about control dynamics and how they affect smaller and smaller and smaller communities. Let's say there's a person in the house that works at a job where they don't have a lot of control and they're subjected to the whims of whoever, right? Let's say this person also lives a life where they don't feel like they don't have as much control and liberty as they would like. And so where there is a space where they do have a little bit more say, where they do have control, they sort of repeat, maybe not the same actions, but this is all mental, right? So it's about thought processes. It's like they kind of sort of play the same mind games, the same control games on people within their realm of control. And then those people do the same to other people, and those people do the same to others. And it's like, at what point do we break this chain? Right? And then it comes down to this Six of Pentacles, which is about us saying that, like, if we no longer wish to be subjected to control like this, we're no longer going to perpetrate it either. We get more of the energy back that we put out. And I feel like the argument could be said that, well, like, I got this energy before I put this energy out, so I'm only doing blah, 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 whatever. But with the Six of Pentacles, at the end of the day, it kind of sort of doesn't matter. Because once you begin to play the game, you're playing the game. It doesn't matter who started the game if we're all playing it, right? It matters who ends it. And that's what I'm getting with this. Interesting. Let's do that again. That was fun. I might just do a bunch of these little random things. Also, if y'all like want a card to 1 to 3 cards, and have a question, these are the novelty cards. So don't ask a question too serious, or do, and I'll give you some advice. Because why not? I'm feeling it today. And it's interesting because we're this close to the to the Mayan New Year. So I'm just hoping. I don't think it stormed today, actually. I've heard thunder like every day for the past week and some change. Last night it rained like all day. I think earlier today maybe a little bit, but yeah, as we get closer and closer, and as things kind of sort of come in, it's officially Leo season. I think the sun is a whole degree in Leo. And I was thinking earlier, because my mom said that me and my younger brother, she said that my due date was around his birthday, and his birthday is the 20th of March. And so if I would have been born closer to the time that I was supposed to be, quote unquote, born, I could have been an Aries. I'm like, ooh. Like, I would have been on the cusp of Pisces still, but it would have thrown my whole chart off. I would have had like a Aries sun and a Pisces moon. Goodness. What am I looking at? The transits. I just want to see where the sun is. Because I know the sun slid into Leo yesterday. So the sun is currently, 1 degree 39 minutes Leo. Let's look at the other planets. So in Aries, we have Mars at 14 degrees. In Taurus, we have Uranus at 10 degrees. In Gemini, we have Venus at 17 degrees. And Venus is closing in on the North Node, which is interesting because it is. In Cancer, we have Mercury at 11 degrees. In Leo, we have the Sun at 1 degree. In Virgo, we have the Moon right now. So from Aries to Virgo, there is one planet in every sign, which is interesting. And then Libra and Scorpio and Sagittarius. Well, Libra and Scorpio are empty. The South Node is still at Sagittarius, of course. And then Capricorn has Jupiter at 21 degrees, Pluto at 23 degrees, and Saturn at 29 degrees. So Saturn and Pluto are 5 degrees apart, which is, I guess, it's like conjunction territory. And then Jupiter is 2 degrees from Pluto, roughly, which is also conjunction territory. So Saturn and Jupiter are a lot further from each other, but Pluto is playing that sort of middleman role. And then Aquarius is empty as far as like planets go, besides the ascendant right now. And Neptune is in Pisces, still at 20 degrees. So with Pluto being the middleman between Jupiter and Saturn, that's interesting. What would that energy be? If Pluto is the great transformer, I feel like Plutonian energy, the energy of Pluto is also extremely wise. It seems like cosmic wisdom in a way, because it's like this needs to change in order for things to be balanced. And then Jupiter is a planet of opportunity and expansion. Saturn is a planet of discipline and restriction, or boundaries. Restriction. And so it's almost like there are these spaces. It's giving me this energy of kind of like a magnifying glass, where Saturn and Jupiter are the magnifying glass, and then Pluto does whatever needs to be done on whatever's being magnified and amplified, if that makes any sense. And I say it's like a magnifying glass because it's like the outside of the glass, the rim of the magnifying glass is Saturn, but the image that it brings up is Jupiter. It's expanding on these things that with the power of Pluto we might not have necessarily caught otherwise. It's almost like they're so small in comparison to everything around it that it's really, really easy to look over. and there's so much distraction in the environment that the influences have gone unnoticed for a long time. I kind of like that, honestly. But the thing is, with a magnifying glass, you see less of the complete picture. So it may zoom in on some things, but when it zooms in on those things, we may not necessarily know fully how it plays and interacts with other things, if that makes any sense. And so sometimes we can get lost in the minutia of the details. But at the same time, it's like debugging a program. Sometimes you got to look at it character by character to see where your mistake is. And I've been doing that for like literally a week. And I finally caught all my mistakes. Finally, girl, it felt so good yesterday to have that, like, done. But again, it's like sometimes it's like we have both the big picture and the small picture in mind at the same time. And they're interconnected, they're linked. And so there's something about the wisdom of Pluto that as it transforms things, it has a sort of insight to it into what those changes can manifest. But also at the same time, it's like Pluto can take both pictures and look at them. It can look at the big picture and the small picture. And it knows sort of the roles that they play. Oh, gosh, really? These cards just slipped through the cracks, went on the flow. Ouch. Ooh, the Ace of Cups. Okay. I ain't mad about that one. Was that it? I'm going to count these after this, so I'll probably do the 4-pile thing. So we have the Two of Pentacles, the elf. What kind of elf is this? Oh, it's an archer. This is interesting. With the Two of Pentacles and the elf, I'm going to go a little bit LOTR here. And then we have the Eight of Wands, Hydra. Oh, wow, there's a story here. And then the Nine of Pentacles, Frankenstein, with the giant well at the bottom of the deck. Now, the thing about the Two of Pentacles and the Eight of Wands, the elf and the Hydra, especially that bow, I've talked about it before on my other channel, but Hercules did some stuff that he had to accomplish the 12, originally 10 tasks to be absolved of. I think my mythology is rusty, but I think it was kind of God of Worry, where in a rage he ended up killing his family and some other stuff, and he felt terrible. Now, it was induced by, I'm pretty sure, Hera, because she was mad at Hercules because Zeus slept with his mama and made Hercules or something like that. You know, Hera was always running around causing trouble because she couldn't get Zeus to keep his thing in his pants. And she couldn't punish Zeus either, so she punished everybody else instead of going to the source of her problems because, I mean, I guess it was Zeus, and what can you do? And that kind of sort of brings me back to those control issues, right? There are certain things that we can't really speak up against or rebel against. So we find other things where we can exert more control and more power, and we can make someone else's life miserable because somebody else is making our lives miserable and we can't do anything to them. And then in turn, they do the same thing to someone else. And the chain repeats ad infinitum until you end up with some like animal at the end of it, potentially. Anyway. In the third or fourth labor, when he came to fight the Nemean lion had a hide that was impenetrable and teeth and claws that were extremely sharp. So it would just tear up everybody. And so Hercules was like, well, how am I supposed to kill this thing that I can't cut? And he went to Chiron, because y'all know Chiron is what Chiron is. He was a beast and he knew a lot. And so Chiron was like, use poison from the Hydra. And I think by this point, Hercules had already defeated the Hydra. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But he used arrows. We see the bow here. He used arrows tipped in poison from the Hydra to kill the Nemean lion. And I believe from the Nemean lion, that's where the golden fleece came from in Jason and the Argonauts, but maybe not. Because the hide of the lion was impenetrable. And so it ended up getting turned into some garment of cloth or armor. But these same arrows, it was this arrow that also, or an arrow tipped in this poison, that also wounded Chiron and made Chiron go through all of his woes. Because I guess the poison of this Hydra is one that couldn't be cured. And so with the Two of Pentacles, the Eight of Wands, and this Nine of Pentacles, I guess it's a story that comes at a warning, with a warning of. So temperance was a thing in that story that wasn't observed. So a little bit more into the story of Chiron, because I literally just read it like last Wednesday. And I was gonna do the release today. I'll do it tomorrow. I could do it now. No, that's too much work. Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, first thing when I wake up. So Hercules had the task of the Erymanthian boar, I believe. And he went to meet with one centaur dude for some reason. And they was eating, and Hercules was like, this is some good food, but I need something to drink. And the centaur dude was like, I ain't got nothing to drink. And Hercules was like, well, what's that over there? And the centaur dude was like, well, that's some wine that Dionysus, Bacchus, the god of like wine and partying and like having a good time, gave me. And Hercules was like, I want that. And the centaur dude was like, and then Hercules was like, I said, I want it. So he uncorks the bottle, and from the vapors of this wine, the centaurs got intoxicated and started losing their minds. And so Hercules was like, the centaurs outside the cave. They was in a cave, like eating and drinking, or not drinking yet, but eating. From outside the cave, the vapors from the wine inside the cave just wafted out, and the centaurs lost their minds. They got intoxicated. And that was the thing about temperance that wasn't observed, because to temper something, the wine, is to dilute it with water. But they didn't pour any water in, so it was just straight up wine from the god of wine and other such substances. And other things, I'm sure Bacchus isn't only wine, or Dionysus isn't only wine, but he is the god of the vine. And so there was temperance that wasn't observed there. And then first temperance wasn't observed in, them not watering down the wine, which intoxicated and made all the centaurs run mad. But then Hercules, I guess his solution to the centaur problem was to start shooting these poison-tipped arrows at them, killing a lot of them. And then the centaur dude inside the cave picked up an arrow, bewildered how an arrow could just like kill these centaurs, and he accidentally dropped it, impaled his foot with it, and instantly died. And then also Chiron got poisoned. So it's like all of this because Hercules wanted some wine with his male girl. Like, I wonder if he could have, if he had the ability to go back, if he'd be like, you know what, I'll just have some water. Or if he was like, well, the wine was good, so worth it. And I guess the twos can be kind of sort of temperance energy when it comes to balance, right? But originally I was getting like LOTR at the story of the elves. So let's combine these. So there's this capability, tendency for people to go overboard and to use excessive force for things that don't necessarily require it, whether it be a show of power or whatever else. And because of the lack of restraint, it leads to unintended consequences that have ramifications well beyond what we originally thought. And so now we take Hercules and the centaurs to LOTR. Now, I haven't read the Silmarillion or any of the Lord of the Rings books because J.R.R. Tolkien can like write, and I ain't trying to read like that. I was like, what is this? But I did see that basically the humans in LOTR went crazy when they was trying to get all the rings or whatever. Like I said, I ain't read it, but I saw this on the internet somewhere. And so the ancient architects or the ancient gods or whatever of the world, it's like at first the world was flat, but and the elves lived like on this edge of the world, and the humans was trying to get to the elves, and so the grand architect of this world, what it did was it bent the world for everyone except the elves. And so elves still see the world as flat, while everyone else interacts with the world as round. And so they say in the movie that's one of the reasons why the elves can see so far, like Legolas, because they see the world as flat while everyone else doesn't. And then they also sort of say that that's the reason why he was arguing with the dwarf about, the world being flat versus round or whatever. And so essentially there's this place on the map that only the elves can get to, only the elves can navigate to, because for anyone else, you'll wrap around the world. And so there's an element of protection here, also birthright, also divine limitation to prevent something from happening that need not happen. It's almost like man couldn't temper and curb and limit his own ambition, so somebody had to come in and alter the world in a way that he would not be able to progress any further. And it's kind of sort of that same energy, right? Because if we end up at the 9 of Pentacles, Frankenstein, like that's not quite yet the 10. But it's only when we integrate, when we heal ourselves, love ourselves, and begin to integrate with spirit with this Ace of Cups, do we get granted permission to the world outside the realm of the 9s. Honestly, maybe even the realm of the 8s, because 8 is that number that wraps around on itself. 8 is the Jormungandr, the Ouroboros that bites its own tail. It's that girl. That's why I went on a whole rant about the number 8 because it just seems like so inescapable, or it seems like a limit. It seems like once you hit 8, you're stuck. And then if you look at a digital clock, literally every number fits within the number 8. So that was my whole beef with 8. But it's this Ace of Cups that grants us the ability to go even further. And so with the elf coming out in the 2 of Pentacles, again, it's almost like we're also born with this birthright, but our choices sort of determine if we step more into that power or if we step further from it. And with this 8 of Wands and the Hydra, I feel like ultimately what this is about is not giving into this sort of instant gratification culture or this dog eat dog mentality or anything else kind of sort of capitalistic where it would have you do something against someone in order to gain more or get a leg up or take from someone else. Because once you start to take to satisfy your own desires, you'll never stop, right? And then this 9 of Pentacles, this is the 8 of Wands into the 9 of Pentacles. Did I call that the 8 of Pentacles before? Maybe not. But it's for us to be sort of satisfied with what we have and for us to find ways. I want to pull one more card, or actually 2 more cards. Okay, that's way too much, but why not? Ooh, yeah, that's way too much. I'm sorry. But with that Frankenstein 9 of Pentacles, I feel like that's an area that we could have reached on our own, but instead of having the merit and integrity to do so, what we've chosen to do is to take from others and to minimize those contributions in order to maximize our own ego and the potential of all of that. Next, we have the Moon, which is the werewolf. And then last is the Eight of Swords, Pegasus. Ooh, look at her. Pegasus. I mean, I feel like these two cards basically say the same thing to me, and I can move this back here, honestly. Because I feel like with the Moon and the Eight of Swords, with the Werewolf and Pegasus, both of these creatures are like magical, mystical, not necessarily mythological, but they don't exist, right? As do a lot of cards in this deck. But, and then you have the Knight of Cups, the Djinn at the bottom. Oof, of the deck. I say oof because that's a Djinn, and you know, if you ain't specific enough, those things will wreck your life. But you'll get what you asked for. You'll get what you asked for. It just won't come in a way that you. It'll come with the price that you don't want to pay most of the time. That we don't want to pay. But with these, it's like there is another way to move forward, but we're not necessarily like we don't necessarily know what it is because that's not the narrative that we're told, and it's not necessarily what we're taught. But with the Moon and the Eight of Swords, it's about taking the untraveled path and trusting that you'll get there, right? But that's the thing about this Ace of Cups. It's the thing about what is being granted and offered to us, and also the way that we are to go about getting it. Interesting. These always go so much deeper than I think, right? I'm like, oh, this is my novelty deck, so, you know, it won't be like that deep. But honestly, sometimes this deck can be, and I love it. I love this one and my SKT. And also, apparently, my girl Benabel is coming out with the third edition of the SKT, and I'm getting it. She just started, so she was like, you know, maybe 2021, maybe 2022, it'll be coming out, but I will have my Pentacles ready to pre-order that mess because I don't want to miss out. And I have the second edition. I have the Vitruvian edition. And in the video, she was talking about how the first edition was like so jam-packed with symbolism and other things. And I'm looking at my Vitruvian edition like, oh my gosh, there's so much in this. And apparently the first edition had more. And she was like, you know, the third edition is going to be like even more sort of accessible. Because I guess with her first edition, she made it for herself. Or that was her intention. And she didn't originally plan on releasing it so it could have as much symbolism as she wanted, right? But then, you know, it was too much for some other people. So, girl, I love the SKT. I love it. It's probably, I have so many favorite decks, but yep, we're taking all of them. Why not? We're in the mood tonight. So these came out face down. What came out face up? Let's see. We have the King of Wands, Anubis. I feel like this is about resurrecting old sort of passions. Also, maybe tapping into some past life abilities. Then we have the Page of Cups, the Satyr. The Page of Cups, Satyr. Pages are messengers. The Satyr is a very dreamy one. So it's almost like it's revivifying and revitalizing a passion that we used to have. Maybe in the past, maybe in a past life. But it's sort of it's mystifying us, it's re-enticing us, it's getting us to look at it in a way that we hadn't in before. With the King of Swords Viking, it may come with the question of like why we let this go in the first place. But also we may need to what's the word? Business. Negotiate and acquire resources from outside of ourselves. We may need to pick up the knowledge or expertise of someone else in order to get this to work. Maybe it was the case in the past that we didn't really have the support for whatever this is. But I feel like for some reason with this Page of Cups sitting between these two kings, it kind of sort of brings a new lens and a new life to whatever this is. Ending with the Lovers, the Succubus. What's that pony song? Ooh, this dude done died. He couldn't hang. She's left unsatisfied. Oof. Anyway, I had a weird dream last night that was about like some kind of brain control and other stuff, girl. And then at the end of the dream, I found the machine that did it, and I was trying to pick it up and get the girl who was causing all the trouble. But I accidentally pricked my finger when I was picking it up. Oh my! Talking about the centaur dude who stabbed himself with the arrow and died. I ended up pricking my finger when I was picking up the machine. So I was like, oh crap. I was like, I gotta hurry up before whatever mind control, whatever starts in. But then it reached a certain part of the dream when I was like, no, it's time for me to take control. And I did. Cause, Anyway, I don't know why that came up. But with the lovers here, it's about sort of a renewed dedication. And again, maybe it's something that in the past, maybe one person or one party was a little bit more involved than the other. Maybe there was a partnership in the past that kind of dissolved because maybe there was like this Two of Wands moment where both people had a different vision of how to take it forward and they couldn't come to a consensus and they stepped away from it for some reason. Um, Also, I mean, I feel like the lovers is here, so I do gotta say, like, this could be a relationship between two king energies. And you got the king of wands and the king of swords, which is Leo energy and Aquarian energy. And they oppose. Oh my gosh. And we're in Leo season now. But now this page of cups is trying to like, with the page of cups facing this way, it almost feels like this Aquarian energy is trying to like, come back in. Sing songs of sweet nothings into this Leo energy ear. But also, this could be within ourselves. Um, with the Viking and Anubis, it could have been the case that instead of us sort of putting into our own dreams, we sort of decided to take that energy and put it elsewhere. Um, but the good thing about that is that with more experience comes an ability to um, account for different situations in a way. This is really bright. You know what? I'm gonna reduce this real quick so y'all can somewhat see this. That's the benefit of using OBS. Boom. Let's see. I don't even know if that's too dark. Oh no. Well, it could be a little darker, but that's fine. Let's see. Plastic. We'll keep it there. Okay. And with the lovers, it's like, and again, this is a succubus. So we got the succubus and Anubis with the king of wands. And so, I mean, the succubus is obviously given one person who was more into it than the other, or someone who it's almost the energy of like, this is what they do. But again, this could be all within ourselves. And so maybe with the King of Wands, it's like we had an idea for something that we wanted to do. With the King of Swords, we didn't necessarily know how to get it done. And so we put it on the back burner or it fizzled out. And when we went out, either we acquired new information or a certain string of events got us back to the idea that we once had. And so now it's time for us to breathe new life into it. New life is being breathed into something. Here we have the Ten of Cups, the Leviathan. Work. Ooh, girl, this energy. So the Ten of Cups and the Leviathan being a sea creature, and with it being the Ten of Cups, I mean, we get fire and air energy up here. I feel like there were a lot of things that were just not said. Maybe lots and lots of emotion, but all of it remained hidden. None of it was discussed. And then we have this Hierophant energy, oops, which is the voodoo warlock. Girl, what's up with everybody talking about spell work lately? Not everybody, but it's making its rounds again, and I'm like, really? But not all voodoo is bad. Not all of anything is bad. It's the way we use it and the agenda that profits off of the narrative that's spun sometimes. But again, when people look into certain things, they use negative connotation to inspire why they kind of sort of go to it. And so with this Hierophant voodoo warlock here, I don't want to say it's like somebody trying to cast a spell that got in the way with all of this. But maybe instead of casting a spell, let's say someone was enraptured. So enraptured by something. There's also a fire here. So I'm getting like a pyromancy, scryan type of vibe. And it could have been this energy. The energy of the actual succubus. Again, it's like one person was way more into it in some way than another. Someone was more enticed by the vision than maybe the practicality. And it's like the other energy may have been more practical than enticed by the vision. Again, I feel like with that Two of Wands, that's kind of sort of lingering behind this. Like both people initially were on the same page, but at a certain point there was a split. What's this other card? The Hermit, the Yeti. Exactly. So here we go. These two earth energies. One person was more Taurus. I want to build with you. I want to be with you forever. And the other person was a hermit, the Yeti. Like, forever, girl. That's a long time. And I don't even know. Like, you see how this Yeti is looking? Like, are you sure about that? Like, I was like going in this direction, honestly. And it looks like you're looking in the other direction. Um, but this is about more. This is an energy of building with something or someone else. This is an energy of isolating and sticking to oneself. This is a lot colder. This is warmer because of the fire. So we got fire and ice with this Ten of Cups sort of laying under the both of them. This is how we're going to do this. So next we get the Page of Swords, the Headless Horseman. Oof. Page of Swords, headless Horseman. There's a full moon. I'm getting this sword glistening with moonlight. Maybe someone trying to speak some of what all this Leviathan energy is, but not fully being able to fully encapsulate everything. Also, again, someone was more heady and the other person was more, I don't want to say loinsy, but one person was more practical, the other person was more sold on the fantasy. And so this is again under this King of Cups Anubis, or King of Wands Anubis, the person without the head but who's ready to charge. It's like, did you even think this through? Again, there's a Piscean energy in the Ten of Cups and a Piscean energy with the moon represented in this Ten of Swords. So it's about trying to move something from that fantasy world into reality. And maybe a disregard for timing. Next is the Magician, the Warlock. So we got the Voodoo Warlock and then we got the Warlock. With another moon up here. Um, so with the Magician, it almost feels that someone began, it's like someone began to do what was in their power to do. And I'm going to say both of these are this one because I'm kind of feeling it. And then the last two will be this one. Might as well put them out. And we'll see. Um, so the head isn't here, which means that the magician would have the wand, the cup, and the pentacle. honestly, this energy is like, it'll work, right? It's like we figure it out along the way, and whatever will happen will happen. And let's see if that was good enough over here. Ooh, we got the Two of Wands. Well, here's that Two of Wands I've been feeling, the Cyclops. So, one eye, someone who only had one vision in mind. So, yeah, I don't think that, like, take it as we go approach worked on this side of things for this King of Swords up here. This King of Swords was like, excuse me, what? And this person is giving me very, like, Christian and Satine from Moulin Rouge energy. When Christian was like, all you need is love, and Satine was like, love don't pay the bills, girl, what you mean? And Christian was like, just one night, and Satine was like, there's no way because you can't pay, because, you know, she was a courtesan, and Christian was a penniless, you know, new person to the area who had literally just moved in on a dream. And Satine also had a dream, but she had a much more practical approach at going about it, right? And again, this is sort of unidirectional. It's focused. It has a singular focus, and it can't quite yet account for anything outside. And then we end up with the devil energy, the demon. There's quite a few majors here. I guess there's like a few, right? We have some kings, some court energy, a 10, a 2, and then majors. But with this devil, with the demon here, you see the theme of fire here and fire here. I feel like this is just very stuck on the way that this person had initially sort of seen things or didn't see things. It's like, you know, I have a plan and I'm going to stick to the plan no matter what. And this other energy over here is like, you know, screw plans. And this very heady King of Swords energy is like, what do you mean, screw plans? Hello? Obviously, this isn't going to work because you have. It's like, I feel like it wasn't necessarily a lack of like ambition or drive. It's just like direction or impracticality or something that's just like not ready. And then this other person is like, we'll be ready when we ready. What do you mean? We're always ready. Bottom of the deck is the Ten of Wands. And so, as this was, there was like a natural, let's see if I can do this, a natural divide with this kind of sort of in the middle, right? With this Hierophant in the middle. We have one person over here that's all watery and dreamy. And then we got another person over here that's, I feel like there's still, with the lovers on this side, there's still a desire there. But again, it's more earthy and fixed on its vision, with the Virgo and Capricorn energy over here, and then the Taurus energy in the middle. And then we got water, we got Pisces, we got Gemini, excuse me, Mercury, Leo, Aries, Capricorn, Virgo, Gemini. This is Mercury. Did I say Gemini over here? Oh yeah, because the Knight of Swords. And then Aquarius. So we got Gemini and Aquarian energy. And then we got Virgo and Capricorn energy. So this mess over here is dusty and dry. And over here is too mushy. But there is something about when this energy comes together and when it operates in a proper way, it can lead to something greater. Because it's like this energy is bringing the fertility, this energy is bringing the plan. And when it comes together, it can create something truly magnificent and wonderful. And again, this ain't necessarily got to be two people. This could be you within yourself, right? That could be you in your logical mind versus your feeling heart. And finding that sweet spot of going for something that is practical, but also going for something that you want and something that will actually make you happy. Something that won't leave you feeling like you're sort of sacrificing your dreams and your desires in order to make a living. There is an intersection where those two things meet, where you can have stability and also comfort, and not necessarily have to overwork to the point where you can't even enjoy the things that you work for. And then there was the King of Pentacles, the leprechaun at the bottom of the dick, or at the cut. Now the sun is there. Let's see, this is fine. What else is there? I'll do one more. Or maybe a few more, honestly. I think my mom's done. She was like, what can I caption this? I'm like, girl, what is this? I don't know. Ooh, The Boys is coming back. That show left me shook. I was so shook, and I was shook and gagged and speechless, and my wig was snatched and everything else. I was like, oh my gosh. Let's see what this is. Oh, girl. Well, this is a lot. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're putting these back. Sorry. Let me make sure I don't put this in reverse. So we see this Knight of Swords come out again. This time the Knight of Swords came out with the Hierophant. So the Voodoo Warlock and the Headless Horseman. The Headless Horseman is also the energy of the South Node, I believe. And Pumpkinhead would be the energy of the North Node. I think Rahu is the head of the dragon, and K2 is like the body or something. And then here we have the body. And then with the Hierophant, the Voodoo Warlock, Hierophant energy is about commitment, structures, stability, organization, but also about sort of a channeling of the divine. It's about creating a vessel, and it's like a temple. It's Hierophant energy is about creating a temple. It's something physically to house that divine energy, but it also comes with a certain set of codes to follow to maintain the sanctity and divinity of whatever the space is. So I don't know. Maybe we want to be like treating our bodies better with this energy. Maybe eating right, getting a little bit of exercise. Not just sitting around all day. If that's something that you do, it's something I do a lot, unfortunately. But there's something about giving a little bit more care to the body, or giving a little bit more care to the physical things, right? Because we can't always charge off first thing without thought, sort of just based off of, it's almost like what our body needs versus what our body wants. And then we have judgment, Cerberus at the bottom of the deck. So that's interesting. Maybe I'm going to give myself a card. Can I get a card, please? And we'll see if that devil comes out, I'm going to be so over it. I don't know why devil energy has just been coming out all over the place. I'm like, oh my gosh, are we still doing this? Like, really? Parole? Okay, give me one card, please, for a novelty read. And I know all my tea, so we're gonna go there. One card, please. One card. There we go. Queen of Wands, Lilith. Bottom of the deck is Page of Swords, the Headless Horseman. It ain't gotta make sense. We'll figure it out. Girl, read me. Yes. Okay. So, with the Queen of Swords, we get 2 cards. And the Page of Pentacles, I actually love this energy. Because they're both fiery. Look at all this fire in both of these. Hold up. Oh. I'm like, excuse me? Excuse me? So, we're starting with the Queen of Wands, Lilith. Now, Lilith is the energy of... She became the mother of monsters. But she only became the mother of monsters because she wasn't appreciated in the garden, right? And the story behind the story goes that Lilith also, it's fine. The story goes that Lilith was created at the same time Adam was. They were both made of the earth, and so one wasn't subservient to the other. But Adam didn't necessarily too much appreciate that, and Lilith wasn't about to be taking orders from no man that she was equal to. And so they had their little dispute. Devil Energy saw an opportunity to come in and to pull Lilith away because of, the arguments and the dissatisfaction. And so she went off with him. And then, God ended up making Eve from Adam's rib so that, instead of them being created on the same plane, Eve was created from Adam to enforce or infer some sort of implied inferiority or subservience to him. And so Lilith, in the space of this devil energy, came into all of who she was as far as what her power was, but she didn't necessarily have that water, that love to balance it out, right? I wonder if Adam ever missed her. I wonder if she ever missed Adam. And then Eve is like, "Who is Lilith?" And Adam is like, "What are you talking about?" And Eve is like, "You just said Lilith, and we don't have any animals or plants in this garden named Lilith, so what's a Lilith?" And Adam's like, "Girl, you're hearing things. You're crazy. It must have been that fruit you ate that you weren't supposed to eat." And then Eve was like, you're not supposed to eat the fruit. Nothing was said about me eating the fruit. Anyway, um, but that's what the Queen of Wands is, right? It's kind of sort of that I don't need a man type of energy. It's almost that I'm Miss Independent type of energy, and I can rise without depending on something or someone else. I don't have to be subservient to something else to get everything that I want, because everything that I need is within me. I was created whole, and so it got to be something in here that can get me where I want to be. And I think with this Page of Pentacles energy, it's about sort of utilizing that in a way that I don't know anything about Baron Samadi or whatever, so I can't even pull on him. Besides maybe with the Princess and the Frog potentially, um, but he kind of looked like a voodoo warlock to me, so that's bringing in some Hierophant energy, and then we got the Page of Pentacles here, so it's all about becoming. That's what this energy is. It's about becoming. Coming more into oneself and more into within one's power, and also coming into this is really fiery and masculine energy for me, but it kind of sort of makes sense nowadays. In the past, I would have been like, "Oh my gosh, this is a lot of fiery energy for me." Like all this fire symbolism. Like, is this really me? Now I'm like, yeah, this is me. It's no longer muted. It's no longer subdued. But it's about learning to utilize that in a way that keeps the heart active. Because when the heart goes cold, that's when Lilith falls from grace. Right? And then the Page of Pentacles, when it comes to voodoo, I feel like there's a certain elemental nature to it. Right? Also, it can be really easy to slide into, because again, it's like all body and no head, but the heart is still here then. Shoot. But I guess the warning to me would be to not get too dry, to not get too fiery, and to remember the elements of air and water. Because fire by itself can't create. Fire is an element of purification, and it makes space for creation. Right? And earth is the seed, but it still needs water and sunlight to grow. So, also, I guess not to get too full of myself is another thing. So that was fun, I guess. Actually, hold up. Let's since ain't nobody in here right now, Let's get into this. Let's clarify this. Let's clarify both of them. I feel like I didn't speak to the Page of Pentacles too much, but the Page of Pentacles could just be like, this is about a new way of being, in the sense of no longer sort of like, it's like coming out of that super passive Eve energy into more of a like, no, I'm not beneath or lower than or lesser than anyone, and I'm about to speak my piece. And if you don't like it, you can call me whatever you want to call me. But right is probably going to be one of those things that you don't want to admit about me. But when I'm right, I'm right. Let me stop. Hey, Zelda. Voodoo him some donuts. Voodoo who some donuts. We ain't eating sugar over here. When's the last sugar I had? It was probably, I don't know. How are you doing, Zelda? Let's clarify this. And that's another thing, honestly, that I've been noticing. I feel like lately, nowadays, it's not that I like lack compassion at all. I feel like more than anything, I'm starting to lose patience. Ooh, the Nine of Swords, Basilisk. Okay, yeah. Maybe a little too abrasive. What else? I'll get 2 more cards to bridge the gap. But with the Nine of Swords, instead of the energy, because this is me, right? So I get to pull from my own experiences. And I'm not necessarily staying up at night. But I think I do give a lot of thought to not the state of the world, but it's like, oh my gosh, girl, cannot escape her tonight. The Knight of Swords. I mean, I guess that could just be me speaking my truth lately. I do it more so on my other channel than over here, but... And then there we go. There's that cannibal. Oh, that's 3 cards. Girl, that's a lot. That's a lot. Let's look at them. Oh, the star! The tooth fairy at the bottom of the deck. Oh, girl. But that's just because, you know, I want, like, us to... It's like, I feel like we're kind of sort of on the right track-ish, but we're not... It's like we're getting lost, man. It's just like we're getting lost. Okay. Oh, 2 threes. The 3 of Cups and the 3 of Pentacles. Saw them yesterday, and that wasn't necessarily great, but maybe it'll be different today. That's the Witch, the Dwarf, and the Cannibal. The Dwarf and the Giant. That's interesting that these 2 came out next to each other. So definitely maybe the tendency or the capacity or the capability to make mountains out of molehills or molehills out of mountains. Either way, I feel like sort of with the 3 of Pentacles and the 7 of Swords, the 7 of Swords could be an energy of, it's kind of sort of like a high priestess moon energy combined sometimes, where it's about partiality, like partial truths, partial exposure, right? It's like some people may call it deceit, but it brings me that classic, what is that, Turner classic, TCM, TMC, whatever. Whenever they would play that montage and do, we'd be like, I want the truth. And then somebody would be like, you can't handle the truth, right? And with the 3 of Pentacles, that's a card of partnership, but this is a dwarf and it's supposed to be like in the mountain. So I guess this is about operating in environments that one may not necessarily call home. I guess we're working our way backwards. So starting from the Page of Pentacles, it's about building something new, but building something that with this all this fire energy, it's something that, you know, I actually want to, something I'd be excited about, right? That's what I'm in this space of like building a life that I'd actually be excited about. So I'm getting these opportunities and it's like, I don't know. I'm no longer in the space where I'm trying to, I'm trying to operate this liminal space, right? But it's like, I don't want to take things because money or whatever. I want to do something that like I actually care about. Something that's impactful and that goes along the list of the things that I want. And so that's kind of sort of the fire and the manipulation of the elements here. where it's like, you know, we don't necessarily have to accept just what's given to us. We can really be in a space of deciding. And that's also this sort of Lilith energy of like, I'm not just going to take what's handed to me because you think I'm supposed to be satisfied with that. It's like, no, like I'm not whatever to whatever. And if I got to forge my own path to get the happiness I want, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's what the Queen of Wands would do. But because she does that, she attracts in opportunities that align with it. And that's what this energy is. And so maybe that's what the Seven of Pentacles energy could also be, right? Because, like, in his hand is Jack. Oh, boy, y'all can't see that, though. In his hand is Jack because Jack went up the beanstalk and started stealing from the giants, girl. First thing Jack did was, oh, I see that golden harp, I want it. Oh, I see that goose that laid golden eggs, I want it. And the giant is like, really? Like, where did you even come from? Girl, this is why we live up here in the clouds and we separated ourselves from y'all humans. Because all y'all do is take. That's why the elves are living on the edge of the world, because all humans do is take. And then we have the dwarf, which, with this Three of Pentacles coming off of this Page of Pentacles, because we're moving this way, the Page of Pentacles, again, it's about creating a path separate from ones that may exist in the world already. So it's about creating something new, and that's what the Seven of Swords is. This is me taking all of my energy and basically no longer putting it into systems as consciously as I can that support things that I don't want to perpetrate and live. Right. And then with this Three of Pentacles and this dwarf, it's about finding not necessarily like-minded individuals, but it's about finding things that I can actually build with and people I can actually build with and work with and an environment that is conducive to building and working, right? It's about doing things in the 3D that it's giving me the energy of like setting a crystal grid or whatever, but it's like with your life, with my life, right? The environment, the people, the place, and the work. All of this must align with who I actually am to really put me in the space where I feel like I'm in my power, right? All of it's important. And then we have the Three of Cups, the witch. And, oh, how do I incorporate this? The Three of Cups is a card of reconciliation. And so, oh, okay, easy. This is the things that are done physically that align. These are the things that are done spiritually and emotionally that align. So this enters the area of healthy boundaries and tending to self and not being so quick to try to pour outwards. It's like self-care. This is self-care in physical ways. This is self-care in spiritual and emotional ways. And then this is the voice that is necessary to bring this into existence. Because it's like, again, the earth is the earthly things. The cups are the spiritual things and the emotional things. Threes are catalytic numbers. And so with threes being catalytic numbers, again, it's things that may not necessarily on the surface look like they have the ability to affect all that they can actually affect. And then coming out with this Knight of Swords, it's about speaking it. Speaking all of this into existence and also aligning with it and also just using the voice in general, right? And then, last but not least, is the Nine of Swords Basilisk, which with this sword from the Page of Swords would make 10 swords of just like cutting off and dead in anything that doesn't serve. And when it comes to this Lilith Queen of Wands energy, it may be a little like cold, but you know, I don't want to say it is what it is, but it's not what it isn't. So ergo, therefore, it is what it is. I don't know, that was fun. But that's just kind of sort of the space I'm in. And again, well, I guess we got water here. Right? Bottom of the deck is the Star. because it's like there's too much I want to continue to sell in so many ways. So that was a little more than one card, but I mean, no one else said they wanted one, so hey, that was fine. That's the space I'm in. So if I seem a little fiery and dry, don't worry, the water is still in there, but so is the disappointment and the confusion and humanity, because, girl, I don't know, personally, and I uploaded a whole video about how I feel about masks, because people are like, oh, you're wearing a mask, you're a sheep, and if you wear a mask, then that's you, like, giving your power to somebody else. And the way I think about it is, like, first of all, there are places in the world where people are considerate enough that when they get a little sick or under the weather, they will wear a mask so that they don't get other people sick, right? Over here, people don't care about people to that degree. And that sort of progresses into, that's the thing that masks do. They protect other people from you more so than protecting you from other people. And I don't know, in my mind, it's a way to show that I have enough compassion and caring for other people by slightly inconveniencing myself in the moment. Like, it's, to me, it's not that big of a deal. And it has an impact that can go a lot further than just me thinking I'll get sick or not get sick. And I certainly don't think that, I don't know, I'm not in my power just because I choose to, again, slightly inconvenience myself for the greater good of, like, everybody. But there are also some people that believe that just because they smoke cigarettes, that everyone around them should be subjected to the risks, increased risk for developing lung cancer, even if they don't decide to smoke themselves. It's like, oh, I can't smoke in here. I can't smoke on the plane. I can't smoke in the restaurant anymore. I remember back in the day, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, you can make your choices, but girl. Anyway, see, I ain't going all the way there, but Justice, the Two of Pentacles, and the Hermit all came out. I feel like that means I'm right. But that's what, so Justice in this deck is the Valkyrie, and the Valkyrie are the ones who take worthy warriors up to Valhalla to await Ragnarok. Again, the Two of Pentacles is the elf. The Two of Pentacles is about balance. When it comes to elves, it seems that a lot of times they sort of play the role of wardens of nature and the natural world. And so in a world that's developing, or in a world where there are races that are more developed and less connected to nature, that's sort of the role that they play. They bring in that, that natural connection. And then the Hermit is looking at back at both of these. And so nature could be the space of the outside. Justice in this deck could be internal, sort of like worthiness, right? Or just worthiness in general. And then we have a Yeti who lives in the mountains, maybe in the Himalayas, isolated and alone. Maybe because it has, all these sort of cryptid and mythological, mystical, magical, are they real or not creatures know the nature of humanity. And so they have to hide themselves and, hide behind veils of mysticism and all kinds of things just to simply survive. And it's so funny because I shared a memory on Facebook, or I got a memory on Facebook from years ago when I was watching something. They was hunting for Bigfoot, and some dude got mad at the Bigfoot because he got scared and ran away, and then he was like, oh, now I'm mad. It's like, I don't know, it's just one of those, like, and I saw, it's funny that we say shark infested waters as if the sharks don't already just like live there, right? Like, there's this entitlement that comes with being a person, I guess, where we think we can just enter a space and it's ours. It's very demanding, and it's not really balanced, right? It doesn't give weight to the things that are already there. And then we miss out on so much of this planet because humans are just so insatiable, it seems. So many species that have gone extinct, habitats that have been wiped out, peoples that have lost their cultures and their lives. And it's like, I don't know. If Valkyries came down now, I wonder if there would be any of us worthy of sort of taking, right? And it's, no one's perfect, but at the same time, it seems like people don't really care about anyone else either. If the limit of your compassion as a spiritually enlightened being who has access to the 5D and all of these realms and unity consciousness is limited or challenged by you wearing a piece of cloth in front of your face to protect other people, in my mind, it's like, then you don't have much, right? If the limit of your compassion is a minor inconvenience, then how much compassion is that really? And that's why it blows my mind. And I feel like, honestly, there are some people who identify as indigos. And again, I already said all this on my other channel. But there are people who identify as like indigos, and so they're rebelling and they're rebelling and they're rebelling. But I've been talking about how it feels like we're in like Job times for a while. And in the story of Job, the devil went to God about Job and was like, I bet I can get Job to curse you. And God was like, nah, my dude Job is good. He would never do that. And devil was like, all right, bet. And God was like, bet. And so God allowed the devil to come in and take literally everything from Job. For even his wife was like, why don't you curse God? And Job was like, I'm not going to do that. Why would I do that? He lost everything except his faith. And at the end of the story, it was all returned to him 100-fold because he never lost his faith. And it's very much, I feel like, those times, right? It's like there's too much happening. There's too much going down for the light to kind of sort of like allow all this and sit silently. It's almost like, they're kind of sort of in agreement, right? Not necessarily on the motivations behind why everything is happening, but in order for us to get to the space that we need to get to as a collective, where we come together and we address things and we develop beyond baseless, needless, senseless rebellion, then it's necessary, right? And again, it's like, if we're coming into the space that people think we're coming into, if it's going to be as good and as light as people say it's going to be, then how much do we really need to rebel, right? It's almost like, we're in the space of transition. So it's time to think a little more critically and look at both sides of the situation instead of just one. But again, that's my own personal opinion, and Queen of Cups to me verifies that that's my own personal opinion, because she is the most intuitive outside of the High Priestess, and it wasn't the High Priestess, it was the Queen of Cups. So it's the version of things that I see. Excuse me, but in my mind it just makes sense. It's like, so are you telling me that in the 5D and in unity consciousness that people can't care enough about each other to minorly inconvenience themselves for the greater good of all? Because like, if that's 5D, I don't necessarily see that being unity conscious level. And maybe unity conscious level happens at like 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or higher. Because it's like, in my mind, I don't know, we should be able to make small sacrifices or non-sacrifices. Now, like, if people genuinely medically can't, that's one thing. But if you can and you just don't want to because it limits your freedom and blah, 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 it's like, girl, it's a piece of cloth. Like, really? I don't know. Anyway, let's continue. This is fun. Here we go. The Eight of Wands, Hydra, again. The Eight of Wands, Hydra, to me says that there are many perspectives. Oh, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give this a cut, or a shuffle, and then a cut. And we're going to do it like this. For some reason. We're going to get all the different heads, and we're going to see what this is about. But yeah, that's why, because I'm like, I don't know. To me, it's just like, it's not that big of an inconvenience. And then people are like, oh, wow, going back to the fireworks, because there was somebody I watch on here. It was like, oh yeah, I saw that California, like they were like no fireworks, and California did it anyway, and it was like, oh wow, and I'm just sitting here like, I don't. To me, when I think of tests, especially when it comes to spiritual tests, like it's not a test if like the answer to the test is to do what you were already going to do anyway. Like people already weren't listening. So in my mind, like it's not revolutionary or brand new for people, especially Westerners, especially Americans, to do what they want to do and not give any regards or cares to anyone else. Like that's pretty typical standard textbook American. I don't care about you or your family as long as I'm good and I'm doing what I want. Like the tower energy, right? That's what needs to change with this Two of Swords. Y'all can't even see them. The tower and the Two of Swords. Well, we all gonna be ghostesses because you couldn't get it together. You couldn't care about somebody else enough to just like I don't know, make some kind of sacrifice. Girl, and then for all the, it's fine. See, that's why I don't necessarily get into all of it over here. That's why I went off and made a whole new channel, and I just like go off, and I just like go all the way. I go off, I dive in. It's like the same over here, but without limits. So let's look at these, shall we? We'll start with the left one, and we'll go counterclockwise. So the first head is giving us the devil, the demon. Well, we're going over here to see what's over on this side. The King of Swords, the Viking. What am I doing with these? So the Eight of Swords is a card of rapid movement and like out of the blue communication, right? And so I'm actually going to look at it as axes. Let's say one head is the entrance and the other head is the exit for whatever reason. And so on this axis, with the devil and the demon, it's all about sort of control. And with the Viking, it's also this is an axis of power, right? Because Vikings sort of, they pillaged and they plundered other lands and, spread their influences and blah, blah, blah. And then we have this devil energy here that kind of sort of does the same thing. But it's like what they're pillaging and plundering is minds and hearts. Don't leave. Oh, I mean, I already did. I've been over there. I already have like 100 and something videos over there, girl. I've been going ham. But it's fine. Because now it's like I know what I want to use this channel for, so. And it's basically everything that isn't that. Also, with this channel, I feel like I put myself in a space of like, if I'm being completely honest, it's like it happened that this channel almost became an addition to another one. And it was mine, but it wasn't really mine, right? It was like my section of someone else's establishment. Like I was renting a space. And that was cool and it was fine or whatever. But this is my channel and my voice is going to be prevalent. And again, there are seasons and cycles and there are reasons to everything. But that's one reason why when I made a new channel, I wasn't too upset, right? Because I was like, I like that channel, but that space doesn't feel fully mine. It feels like, especially at a certain point, it was like, oh, this is like a secret like hangout or whatever, where blah, blah, blah. And again, it was fine, but it always kind of sort of sat with me in a certain way that I never spoke on. And again, it's fine. There are reasons to the seasons. But anyway, with this energy, it's like there's an element of control and manipulation with this devil energy. And then there's an energy of taking with this Viking energy, of subduing others and subverting them to your will. With both of these. One in a way that's more subtle, another way another in a way that's more impactful. Now, we also have the moon, werewolf, and this page of pentacles again, Baron Samodi. And this is all about things that are hidden or unknown. Things that, oh snap, I forgot about this. One second. It's about things that kind of sort of run in the background. I'm getting my rewards real quick, okay? Don't judge me. I just got a notification and it happens every 20 hours, alright? And so there's this energy of something that presents itself one way up front, but in the shadows it's something completely different, right? And honestly, with this moon energy and with this page of pentacles energy, it's giving me, oh crap, I didn't want to do that. It's giving me the energy that like the path to our salvation lies within whatever this is, right? But at the same time, it's like there's another way to see it. Because again, in the story of Job, it's like God allowed the devil to come in and to tempt Job. But if Job would have taken the perspective of why is this happening to me and woe is me and times are so terrible and times are so bad, then that's what he would have fallen into. But behind all of the temptation, behind all of the loss, behind of his world falling apart, lied his salvation, lied the seed to this whole new world. But again, with this werewolf, it's about the matter of perspective. Either we choose to take the sun route and we maintain and elevate our humanity, or we choose to sort of give in to the unknown and the chaos of the upfront, give in to the ploy and the plot of this devil energy, become savages with this Viking energy, and then turn into beasts, right? Let's keep going. Let's see. Next is the Three of Pentacles. I feel like I'm seeing the same cards. The Dwarf and the Three of Wands, the Brownie. Now, this is interesting because Brownie energy is kind of sort of the trickster, right? It's like brownies are the way I heard about brownies, which was like in school the first time, believe it or not. It's like brownies are the little spirits, the little sprites that will sort of like hide your keys or do whatever. Now, another thing with brownies is that it seemed that, like, besides just being straight up little tricksters and pranksters, there was also sort of like karmic just desserts on a smaller scale. It's like if you're rude to somebody, if you're mean to somebody unnecessarily, it's like, well, where did my keys go? I can't find them. Or it's like, you're making fun of somebody and then you trip down the stairs or something. But with these two threes is a six, and that's about harmony. Three is a catalytic number. So with these being up here, it's giving me the energy of leveling the playing field between these two forces. Whereas one may have been dominant in the past, we're coming into a space where it's like an eclipse type of energy, where before one completely crosses hands, before the planet or whatever completely crosses hands, we're in this in between space where we make the decision on whether to go through with it or not, right? We make the decision on whether to come into 5D or not. And a lot of people say that, like you have a certain percentage of acts to self and then a certain percentage of service to self and service to others. And there's a balance between the two. But it seems like in everything that's happened, interestingly enough, what it's done is it's pushed a lot of people into the service to self mentality. And people who are otherwise very spiritual, they get pushed into a service to others mentality because there's a certain depth of vision that they have. And then I feel like there's the shadow side of everything happening, and there's a very clear, like, shadowy agenda. And it seems like the limit of some people's critical thinking is, oh, that's the shadow agenda. Okay, I'm going to rebel against that and I'm going to do the opposite. But then if you look at the agenda of the light, like what would that be in times like this? Because in my mind, it would be acts of compassion, acts of service to others, and what we can do to sort of mitigate and prolong, like mitigate loss and prolong time until the way out is presented to us. And the way out doesn't necessarily have to be the way out that this energy would have us see, because miracles happen like literally every day. Like literally, we can wake up and it could just be like gone. Or we could wake up and somebody could be like, oh, in this one place they've been using this certain set of minerals and fluids and rest, and it's been working, and that's what we're gonna do, right? No need for anything invasionary. Is that a word? No need for anything like permanent or injections, right? We don't know what the solution is going to be. There's a proposed solution because that's where our understanding is, but it could be literally anything. But again, it's interesting because it's pushed otherwise spiritual people into service to self, where we can't even be minorly inconvenienced for the greater good of the collective, because me being minorly inconvenienced somehow takes away from my power. It's like, okay, well, I don't know. It's just like if the limit of my personal power, like if my kryptonite, as someone who has a spark of divine consciousness, source consciousness within me, if my kryptonite is a mask, it's like, girl, like, I don't know. In my mind, it's just like, yeah, that's Superman's greatest weakness. If you put a mask on his face, he's just powerless. And it's like, okay, well, sure, whatever. Again, it's just pushed a lot of people, I feel like, to service to self. And I don't know. With the Three of Wands, it's like that's what we've been wanting. That's what we've been manifesting. And with the Three of Pentacles, it kind of sort of speaks to the tasks that we have to accomplish to get there. The ways that our behaviors and our actions and the 3D needs to change to accommodate everything else coming in. And it's like one of the biggest things that needs to change is how we view ourselves in relation to everyone else and what we're willing to do. Because for a lot of people, it seems like they're not willing to do much for the greater good. And like, I don't know, for some reason, with all of the information that I've been exposed to, and again, it could be higher than 5D, maybe, but it's like, I don't know, you just think that it's like people coming together to make differences and impacts that have the power to shape and change and mold the entire world. And whenever you do that, it involves a level of compromise, right? It's like if something needed to be done, then there would be people who would step up to do it, and not a continuation of like, oh, somebody else will do it. Or like, oh, I would, but I don't have the time. Or, oh, I'd rather be watching TV, honestly. So they'll figure it out, right? It's like, I don't know, is that the limit of our compassion for each other? Like minor and slight inconvenience? Well, potentially. And then we have strength with the Manticore and the Hermit with the Yeti. That's Leo and Virgo energy. So strength with the Manticore and the Hermit, which is the Yeti. I feel like this is really going to sort of like determine, honestly, it feels like it's going to determine how far we go. Right. And I feel like there's a question of like, what is actual strength? And is actual strength something that exists within the self for the self? Or is there strength in our ability to show up and to hold space for others? I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be surprised with the energy of the Hydra. But it's like there's so much like misdirection and question, and I don't know. Honestly, it's like devil energy. It wins regardless. Like if you give into fear, it wins. If you give into, or if you don't really come out of spaces of compassion, it wins. If you, I don't, it's just like there are so many ways in which it can win. And there are also quite a few ways in which it will lose. But again, I feel like we haven't done anything revolutionary, right? It's like if ignoring it and treating it like it wasn't real, if not wearing a mask and not social distancing and not following certain guidelines was the solution, I feel like it would have worked by now. But again, it's not revolutionary. And unless Spirit is all of a sudden in the mood and in the role of giving us tests where the answer to the test is for us to continue doing what we were already doing in the first place, or for us to not evolve in our mindset and not evolve in our hearts. Like if that's not the point, then like yeah, we're acing it. But for some reason, I don't think that that's the case, and it seems like so many have not risen to the challenge. But I guess when you can't see anything outside of yourself, it's not to be. It is to be expected, you know. Where even when we claim spirituality, there's still so much ego that we can't see anything outside of who we are and what we want in our own convenience. It's like really, I don't know. That King of Swords Viking keep coming out, don't he? All right, this will be the last round, and then I'm gonna get off. Oof. This is a slight preview of what goes on the other channel. That's why that Lilith energy came out. Because again, it's like I understand and I can find compassion and I can get where people are coming from, but at the same time, I feel like now isn't necessarily the time to be like not holding each other accountable and not asking for each other to do more. And again, it's like I sent something to one person and I don't know, it's just I don't want to say I guess I don't want to say that I'm not disappointed because I am. Excuse me, but I feel like I don't know. It just seems like certain folks are spiritually weaker than I thought they were. Your Lilith is Taurus. My Black Moon Lilith is in Pisces. And my other Lilith is somewhere. I don't know. I know my Black Moon Lilith is in Pisces. And I was like, oof, that makes sense. I get it. I get it. I see it. All right, novelty cards. Let's lighten things up, maybe. Psych. Just give me something new. Like, why are you coming out with the same cards? But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of disappointed in people, you know? The Eight of Pentacles Zombie. Okay. Eight of Pentacles Zombie. The Eight of Pentacles is a card of mastery. The zombie is something that is dead that has arisen. So maybe we're seeing mastery. We're seeing realms of mastery that will be coming back. Just like sort of that Anubis with the King of Swords. Or the Anubis with the King of Wands. It's about the reignition of something. Yeah. That was me in a past life, aka when I was younger. So with the Eight of Pentacles, we have sort of the return of certain gifts, maybe. With the Ten of Wands, but they come at not a great price, but they come with heavy burdens of responsibility, I guess. Or there's a lot that sort of is required for one who would do this. I feel like it's about seeing. She keeps coming out. The Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. How did I say that? The Page of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. Baron Samedi and the Mandragora. This is interesting. This is Pentacle heavy. This is Earth heavy. So this is the power to create something new. Or this is the seed. And this is the ability to plant it and to grow it. There are some gifts that are guarded by things. Oh, girl, that's a lot. I'll take them. Why not? There are certain things that are guarded by. It's like it's guarded by energy, honestly. And I don't know. It's like what is this? The Nine of Pentacles in reverse. That's funny. That card came out in the weekly release. So let's put this. This is like one of the challenges, right? This is a gate that you can't get through when all you care about is yourself. It's like imagine the responsibility that individuals within the collective of a 5D consciousness would have. Imagine the responsibility that individuals within a collective where manifestation happens a lot easier and things aren't as dense and as slow and like the technology is more powerful and a lot of these sort of like limits that we've been experiencing are removed. But if no one can care about anyone else enough to check and temper their own selfish desire, it would be chaos. If you can't see outside of yourself, Nine of Pentacles in reverse, like, I don't know. If I were in charge, I wouldn't give anything to anybody that was selfish like that. Personally. And then we have the Knight of Cups, which is. No, this is the Ten of Pentacles. What? The Minotaur. So we got the Ten of Pentacles. This is so Pentacle heavy. So we got the Ten of Pentacles. With the Ten of Pentacles being a Minotaur, that's obvious Taurus energy. Even though this is a Virgo card. Oh! The 9 in reverse and the 10 upright. I don't. It's like this is my thing, right? And I feel like it's just an interesting thought experiment, right? Let's say for whatever reason, let's let's pull this out of that context, I guess. Okay. Let's say for whatever reason we live in an old building, right? And we live at the top of the building, and there's only one elevator. I was going to say elephanter. There's only one elevator in the building. And let's say for whatever reason, maybe it's the drywall, maybe it's the wallpaper or the furniture, but something in this building is extremely flammable, right? The building just tends to go up in flames, girl. And we live on the top floor, and some other people live on the bottom floor. And let's say because this building is as um, has the tendency to catch on fire as much as it does, there's this rule where you don't smoke in the building, you don't light fireworks in the building, or any fire outside of just cooking, not in the building, right? Because it just goes up in flames that much, right? And let's say like if you wanted to smoke, every room has a balcony, and so you can go out on your little porch and smoke, right? So it's slightly less inconvenient than like going all the way outside. And let's say there's someone who lives on higher floors, and let's say there's someone who lives on the bottom floor, right? Now the people on the bottom floor, since they have, they're on the bottom floor and they could just run out of the building as soon as it goes up in flames, they might sort of like care a little less than the people who live on the top floor. And I know even then that's not always the case, but they may care a little less, or they may be a little less conscious and conscientious of it because the people on the top floors would have to go down the stairs in case of a fire, right? And so let's say, and like, sort of that, this is what this is giving me, right? It's like there are certain people in spaces where they don't necessarily care. They'll smoke and they'll like fireworks, and they'll just like, I don't know, try to set things on fire intentionally in the room to see if the building catches on fire as easily as people say that it does. And I don't know, it's just the energy of like minor inconveniences that you would have to suffer in order for everyone else, and not caring enough about anyone else to even begin to think of how it would affect someone else, right? So again, it's like the people on higher floors, and again, they do have the unique perspective of having all those stairs to navigate. And so, like, there's extra inconvenience for them. But then it's like, imagine living on the top floor and then knowing that there are people on the bottom floors that are intentionally trying to set the building on fire when it's already, liable to go up in flames just because it seems to be that building. It's like is that the limit to it's like it's a limitation on like empathy for others, right? It's like, oh, if they were up here, I wonder if they, would like give a little more thought to how they would escape from this building if it went up in flames, right? It's like there are certain areas where we say that other people aren't considerate of us. And this is everybody, right? In so many different ways. It's like other people aren't considerate of us and our needs, and they only care about themselves. But in the same, there may be ways where we're not considerate about other people and their needs, right? And it's this whole like eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. But if you never had an eye to begin with, right? Like if everyone is only interested in caring about themselves, there's no cohesion in that world. And that's why we live in a world where duality is so heavy, right? Me versus them, us versus them, me and the environment, this versus that. Let's see. What else is there? I got 3 more cards. How am I going to do this? Yeah, we're going to slide this back up here. Hold up, wait. Was that necessary? Sure. I don't know. So then we got the Empress, Kali. We got the Wheel of Fortune, the Inquisitor, and the World card. See, this is that 8 where it's like biting its own tail or whatever. Y'all can see that. This is why I don't like the number 8 anymore. Not this card in particular, but I was just like, 8 is a trap. There's no escape on the 8. But to come into this 10 of Pentacles, we have the Empress, the Wheel of Fortune, and the World card. The World is a 21. The Wheel of Fortune is a 1. And this, so we got 3, 1, 3. And then another 1. 1, 3, 1, 3. Technically 1, 0. Like 10, 3. 10, 3. Yeah, because this is number 10. 10, 3, 10, 3. Hey. But that's the thing about like Kali, right? Kali sort of like Kali was literally created for a singular purpose, to stop this one demon who would basically proliferate whenever his blood touched the earth. It would spawn more demons, and no one could beat him because every time you try to cut him, more demons are born and he heals himself. And so that's why, she's drinking his blood. She was literally created to stop him. And it's also one of those energies that have kind of sort of been demonized because it's not the pretty feminine that, is like powerless and, like needs someone else to come in and save her or do something for her. Or she like has a voice and she has power. She's powerful, right? She doesn't necessarily need a male deity or figure to come in and do something for her. And the way that the world was sort of set up and ran with toxic masculinity in the past, it doesn't have a place for anything really that doesn't depend and rely on it and the systems and structures that it creates. But this is like literally to come into this new energy, we have to put an end to the old one. And we have to completely look at how it's kind of sort of shaped us and molded us. Again, where if we can't even be minorly inconvenienced for the sake of someone else, like what kind of divinity, what kind of source, sacred consciousness is that? Right? That sounds a little more demonic to me than anything if you're so self absorbed that you can't even care. But again, that's my unique perspective, right? So we got Kali, and then we have this Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is the Inquisitor, so it's sort of a religious backing, I believe. But also, what? I don't know. I don't know why this is the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor is kind of sort of harsh. It's kind of sort of rough. But maybe it speaks to the element of personal sort of transformation. It's almost like some of us may have to be like run over by this wheel. And being run over by the Wheel of Fortune honestly feels like missing it. Having a tower moment and then being like, why did I miss that? What happened? But again, it could just be personal sacrifice that's required to get this wheel to turn. It's like we're coming into an energy that's a lot lighter. So some of the denser things that we're used to, it can't stand in that energy. It'll weigh you down, anchor you right back into the same energy. And then we have the World card here where it's like, oh, what is it? It's giving me like a reincarnation-y type vibes where it's like the actions that we have in one life kind of sort of determine our role in the next life, right? Who was it? Might have been Dolo, the pilot man, when I was watching him like last year or a while ago, because he said something that was like, if we talk about ascension in the 3D, you might be a person, but in the 5D, you might come back as like an animal or like a fly or something, because like that was the limit of your consciousness. And it isn't necessarily that exactly, but there is a sort of reciprocity here, right? It's like the more you live in your heart and the more you can live from your heart, and this time, the more this wheel will turn for you. It's like with the body being on the wheel, it's like the ego is the limit to how much this wheel is going to turn for us. And if your ego won't allow you to move at all, then don't expect any movement. Because with this Empress Kali energy, something has to give, something has to change in order to make way for it and create all of this. It's like the energies interact and they work different. And so what would have worked in the 3D won't necessarily work in the 5D. And there's a lot of ways that we've adapted to survive in the 3D that we need to let go of before we get into the 5D. Because again, it's like when things are lighter and brighter, if you carry a heavy energy into that space, it's gonna interfere with your ability to operate within that space. It's like you increasing gravity for yourself and trying to still run a marathon, right? And I guess it's good for training purposes, but then you would take the weights off when you actually run, right? I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna get a final card and then I'm gonna head off and probably get some sleep because that's something that I can do now for the most part, and I'm gosh darn excited about it. Oh, them lunar eclipses be having me not sleeping. I don't know why they affect my sleep the way they do, but I just be up. My body be like, I don't need no sleep. I'm like, body, what are you talking about? I do. My heart is like, I want to sleep. My body is like, for what? My brain is like, yeah, I'm up too. And my heart is like, because I want to. Hello? because I don't want to be awake for like 20 hours, 21 hours out of the day. Because at a certain point, everybody else is asleep, and you know, I'd like to chill too. Okay. Final card, last card. Maybe we can bring the mood back up. Potentially, we'll see. Okay. Oh wait, I actually wanted to make sure I had all my cards. So, oh, that'll be a long time. Well, we'll just do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So the first pile is going to be the Eight of Pentacles, the zombie. Bottom of this pile is the Eight of Cups, the pirate and the zombie pirates. Was that a movie, Scooby-Doo, on Zombie Island or something like that? When they were like cats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No problem, Zoda. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So the top of this pile is the Nine of Cups. Bottom of this pile is the Ten of Swords, the Griffin, and the Kraken. I actually had a dream about a griffin one day. It was taking me somewhere. And this one girl, and she couldn't breathe. And she was like, "Wait, Griffin?" And the Griffin was like, "What's that?" Well, I had to tell the Griffin because she was behind me. And I was like, "Griffin, wait, she said she can't breathe." And he was like, What you mean she can't breathe?" And she was like running some kind of analysis on the elements in the air. And she was like, the air is devoid of oxygen. And I was like, "Oh." And so then she did some like some environmental alchemy to increase the amount of oxygen in the environment. And she kind of sort of passed out, or she was beginning to fall off, and I had to catch her. You actually listened this time. Listen to what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And it was interesting. I was like, "Oh, well, we got the tower here, so." Bottom of this deck is the Emperor, the Sphinx, and the Gargoyle. Exactly like I said. 'Cause it's terror time again. Was that from that movie or a different movie? I don't remember. She was like, "Doug." 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I got all the cards. Nice. Top of this pile is going to be the Ace of Cups. Bottom of this pile is going to be the Three of Pentacles. Okay, word. Ace of Cups and the Three of Pennies. You were like in two worlds. Oh. I feel like I exist in, I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. I got a lot of strong feelings of disappointment in so many people, but it's fine. I was like, wow, this is the best of some of the best and brightest of humanity, apparently. And oof. Okay, so we got 4 piles. What I'm going to do is I'm randomly going to pick 3 cards from each pile. We got the Eight of Pentacles pile. We got the Knight of Cups pile. We got the Tower pile and the Ace of Cups pile. You pick a pile, I'll pull some cards, I'll say some things. Maybe it'll resonate for you, maybe it won't resonate for you. I just wanted to make sure I had all my cards because some cards fell on the floor, and I've been missing cards more times than I care to admit. So, you know, this is why this happened. So, I'm actually going to start with this one because I'm feeling it. And we're going to pull this card. Ooh, both of these. Okay. This one and this one. So we actually get 4 with this one. So when it comes to the Nine of Cups, the Kraken, we have the Queen of Wands, Lilith, and the Page of Wands, the Necromancer. The Necromancer brings things back to life. And the Queen of Wands, Lilith. Lilith is also the mother of many monsters. Oh, snap. The more you do it, the better you. It's like you find your own voice in it, you know? So that's what I had to do. Honestly, it was like, you know what? I don't know. And I don't really compare myself to other people too much anyway. So you find your own voice and, you know, you get better. It's interesting that we have the Page of Wands and the Queen of Wands. Well, with Lilith going into the Page of Wands, again, honestly, what this may be about is pulling yourself out of spaces where you're not appreciated and creating spaces where you are. Because it feels like maybe with this Lilith, there are certain parts of yourself that aren't allowed to flourish because of how they've been, for lack of a better phrase or word, demonized or vilified by other people. And so it's like in order for you to find out more of who you are, in order for you to resurrect those pieces of you that have been long sort of dormant, you need to come into a new space where all of that is allowed to be. Now, next, we have the Two of Cups, the unicorn. Exactly. And it's almost like when you create this new space or when you find out more of who you are, when you come into who you are outside of these spaces where you have to be defensive, it allows you to learn to love yourself and to love those parts of you that maybe other people never necessarily gave love or appreciation to. It puts you in a space to discover it and find it for yourself. And then we end up with the Wheel of Fortune. Exactly. And that's going to be what sort of changes and turns everything around for you. You deciding to create a space for yourself. Are you seeking out spaces where you can exist as you are? And you don't need to be this super fiery, overcompensating sort of energy to stand out or to be accepted. Because once you like find those spaces and those places and those people, there's something about the air that just like you get more of that prana. It feeds the heart feeds the manifestation, and things just take off. Things just take off. So that's this pile. I kind of like that. I like that a lot. Let's go with this one. I'll reach for the tower, so let's go with the tower. Let's see. I want to pull three right in a row. These three right here. Let's see what this is about. Is this more than three? No, it's not. So we got the Star, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so with the Star energy, this is the Tooth Fairy. Now, the Tooth Fairy is something that we get for something that we've lost, right? And that's the thing about a star sometimes is, and I was literally live what yesterday, and I talked about it. But when it comes to the star, a lot of times we're asking for things that we don't yet feel like we have the means to get for ourselves. We're asking for something outside of ourselves. We're asking for something magical, something miraculous, something more. And when we come into that space of something more, sometimes there are things that we have to leave behind. And so going from the Queen of Pentacles to the Knight of Pentacles, I feel like this is about us sort of learning what we can leave behind. And there's also this energy of sacrifice, but it's not really a sacrifice. I feel like what this Queen of Pentacles may be sacrificing more than anything is her. How do I put it? It's not her boundaries. It is her boundaries in a way. It's her sacrificing something that keeps her from expanding. Because the thing about Earth is it's very stable and it doesn't really move once it's fixed. And it's like this queen is very fixed. Even though she's like a dryad and she's nurturing and she's caring and she's like this nature spirit. But it's like this tree needs to get its roots to turn into legs, right? There's something that she needs to sacrifice in order to expand, and it's something that she's grown out of. Because that's what the tooth fairy is, right? She gives us a quarter for our baby teeth, right? So you lose this tooth that, like, you're going to get an adult tooth anyway. And I don't know, it's just something that we naturally grow out of to expand and grow again. Because it's like after this queen becomes a knight, it almost feels like she gets to keep everything that she's already had except the palace or something, because she's going out and she's expanding and she's getting more. But she didn't really lose anything. And that's what this was, the tower pile. So again, it's like you lose something that it might hurt in the moment, but like it's going to be replaced with something more permanent. And that's maybe why she needs to make the sacrifice, because if you keep things that are temporary as permanent, then you don't have any room for the permanent things, and it'll F your mouth up. To the point where you may have more teeth than you need, right? And so there's an energy of needing to let something go in order for it to lead to something, again, that's more permanent, that's more sort of suitable for your growth. And the Knight of Pentacles is the warrior. So, I mean, hey, it may be like pulling teeth. It may be like pulling teeth to get y'all to let some of this stuff go. But at the end of the day, the tower is going to take it regardless. Whether you're kicking and screaming or not, the tower is going to take it. And if the tower doesn't take it, it's probably like, congratulations. Now you're not going to get whatever you actually wanted. But, that's on you. That's your choice. Because you can't wish for something brand new and then not do anything new to get it or to maintain it after you get it. Because, I don't know. It's like you would have already had it if that weren't the case. And again, the bottom of the deck was the Emperor, which is the Sphinx. So it may not necessarily come in a way that up front makes sense, but at the end of the day, it actually serves us more to let it go, whatever it is. So next, I'm filling the bottom card and the card right under this one. Next is the Eight of Pentacles with the Eight of Cups. Yep. No, the Lovers is on the bottom of the deck now. Okay. The Eight of Pentacles with the Lovers. This is dedication for real, because the Lovers is a choice, and then the Eight of Pentacles that's kind of sort of like to death do us part type of energy, kind of sort of. First card out is the Five of Swords, the Angel. The Five of Sword Angel, this actually inspired the Angel spread, which I think is on my new channel. I'm pretty sure it's not over here. And so the thing with the Angel spread is basically that Spirit was giving us these tests that are very hard. And it's like Spirit is putting us in this situation and then they're pulling away. Kind of sort of to see what we're going to do in that space, in that situation. And it's not for us to give up, but it's basically for us to prove our mettle. It's for us to hold our faith and for us to keep going strong, right? Just like Job, like if a little bit of inconvenience and if some struggle in your earthly life is enough to completely shake your faith and get you to curse God and your angels and walk away from your path, then girl, you weren't that firm set on it anyway. And it's like we're coming into the space where we don't necessarily, we're prioritizing, or they're prioritizing people who are more than just like fair weather spiritual people, right? Like people who are going to be committed and in it for the long haul to really come into their gifts, because we have to prove ourselves responsible before we're granted access to some of these, powers. With great power comes great responsibility. If you want great power, you're going to have to prove yourself greatly responsible. Next is the Eight of Cups, the Pirate. So the Eight of Cups is about walking away from something. I feel like this is about us walking away from things that no longer serve us. And it honestly feels like it's not that we're like stealing anything, but maybe there are certain spaces that are overly dependent on our presence and it doesn't necessarily reward us, right? Like, I used to be the type of person that would do extra work and work really hard. And even if I wasn't getting paid, sometimes I would work off of the clock just to make sure that whatever needed to be done needed to be done. But then after a certain point, I was like, you know what? I'm not doing that no more. After I went back to my one job and they didn't want to pay me, I was like, if y'all gonna pay me like I'm brand new, I'm gonna act like I'm brand new. If y'all want all the experience that I come with, you have to compensate me for it, and I'm not giving that to you for free. I'm sorry, not sorry, I'm not. So maybe that was the beginning of me learning my self worth and learning to love myself, because I was like, girl, like, no. It's like y'all want me because of my experience, but y'all don't want to compensate me for it. Girl, like, miss me with that. And so it's kind of sort of that energy, right? It's almost like someone would think, oh, you're taking, you're stealing. But it's like, no. If I'm not being compensated fairly for my time and energy and effort, I'm not going to give time and energy and effort to this, right? I understand the laws of equivalency, and everything is a Six of Pentacles. If you ain't compensating, you ain't getting. Because I'm not in the space of just handing out for free no more. Sorry, not sorry. Right? And so coming off of this Five of Swords angel, it just may be like there's situations that we kind of sort of need to at least take a step back from. Also with this angel, I feel like there are certain things that we can do for other people, but when we do everything for some people, it keeps them from learning whatever lesson they're supposed to learn. Right? And so with the Five of Swords, it's like even if you can help somebody through something, should you always? It's like you can't be someone's guardian angel every time. And if you're always there, they're never going to learn and they're never going to grow. And this person needs to grow in some way. If they didn't need to grow, then the Eight of Pentacles wouldn't be here and the Eight of Cups wouldn't be here. And we're ending this with that Page of Pentacles, of course, because this will be what really gets this person started on their own journey. And unfortunately, it seems like there may be some sort of initially there may be some sort of a misconception, right? Or a little bit of spite because, oh, this person usually does everything for me and now they're not doing everything for me. Like, what's that about? Blah, 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 blah. Well, maybe this person got their own life. Maybe this person is dealing with things in their own space. And sometimes people are so self centered and so selfish that they don't even stop to consider that maybe the person that does everything for you, that you don't do anything in return for, like maybe they got something going on in their own personal life. But you're too consumed and wrapped up in yourself to even care or know this or like care, right? Even if you do know, it's like you still don't care. And so that's what this Page of Pentacles is. It's about getting someone to build up on their own and for themselves. Because as long as we do everything for certain people, they never do it for themselves. And this is all about mastery. It's about this. The Eight of Pentacles is about adepthood. But at the end of the apprenticeship, at the end of this phase, you become a master. So that's why it's also about mastery for me. But it's both, right? And so it's like your lesson in this is to learn to walk away. Their lesson in this is to learn to step up and do something for themselves. Potentially, I love saying potentially. It could be anything, girl. Don't come for me. Now, last but not least, I actually want to pull 5 cards for this Ace of Cups. Why not? We're going to do the first 3, and I already looked at the bottom, so we'll do these 2. Don't ask me why. So the Three of Pentacles, again, was at the bottom of the deck. So this is about partnerships with this greater ability. It's like where this last pile was about sort of like us helping people and not necessarily getting things in return. This is the opposite. This is a card of community that is spiritual and emotional and very fulfilling, but also builds towards something in the physical. And we're actually going to start at the bottom and then work our way towards the top. So we got the Ten of Wands and the Four of Swords. The Ten of Wands, dragon. Now, this is interesting because depending on where you go, dragons hold different symbolism and they mean different things. And so if you're taking a more Western approach to what a dragon is, then it's a creature to be feared and slayed. If you take a more Eastern approach to what a dragon is, then it's a creature to be respected for its knowledge, its wisdom, and its longevity, right? The ancientness of it. in both systems, it's like dragons have treasure, right? And so in the Western system, sometimes they slay the dragons to try to take the treasure. And it's like, okay, well, there's the ego for you. You don't care about the farmers that are losing their sheep or whatever. You just care about the treasure that the dragon holds or the money that you'll be paid once you kill it, or, the boost to your ego from bringing back the head of a dragon, right? And ultimately, in reality, I don't know. I ain't gonna go that far. But that's the thing. The Ten of Wands is a card of being overburdened, a card of being overtaxed. And maybe you turned into this dragon because you were given to a lot of things that weren't given back to you. And you turned into this whole dragon. Or this could be you needing to change how you look at certain things, right? Because it could be the case that maybe you were taken advantage of and maybe you were used in the past. And honestly, that could be something that can fuel like your self love, your self confidence, your self worth. Like, wow, like I really am this awesome. That people just dump on me and dump on me and dump on me. And I have the capacity and the capability to take it all. But I'm not going to do that anymore. But I do have the capacity. And it can also it can sort of illuminate things for you. And it's so interesting too, because some people will like use you and use you and use you and then like dog you out and try to make you feel like you are less than. And it's like, well, I'm not so trash, I'm not so less than that you ain't left and that I'll keep doing everything for you. So if I'm trash and you depended on me for everything, then what does that make you? Right? Not necessarily to go that far, but you can see how like when you sort of shift the perspective, it can kind of sort of change the nature of this beast. And then we have the Four of Swords. Now, the Four of Swords is a card of rest and rejuvenation after the Three of Swords heartbreak, but before the Five of Swords battle. It's this in between spot of I'm still healing, I'm still recuperating, I'm still recovering, and I'm not yet ready to be out there. But with this torch being lit right here, this is nighttime. And nighttime is the only time vampires come out. So it's like, dude, are you really gonna like miss out on this night? There we go. Are you really gonna miss out on this night because I don't know, you want to sleep in and have to wait until tomorrow night? Because this ain't Twilight. Like you're gonna die if you go out there. The sun will melt your skin, and you're not just gonna sparkle or whatever, which is fine. Um, but yeah, it's like you don't want to miss your opportunity, either because you were wrapped up too much in what someone else was wanting for you, or burdens from the past, or what you think other people wanted from you, or what you think other people saw you as, to the point where this Four of Swords is almost like a Nine of Swords. There's like an energy of a Nine of Swords behind this. But at the same time, it may not necessarily be Nine of Swords completely. But it feels like there's something mental going on to keep this energy here where it should be moving. Now, let's see what this is. Between the both of them is another sleepyhead. And we see someone sleeping in a casket and a torch. So is this another four as well? No, that's the Seven of Wands. So it's like, hold up, there we go. So it's like, the torch could be a symbol of awakening, right? It's a light in the dark, or a symbol of maybe like hidden knowledge or things coming to the light, or partial. It's like a moon energy where it's like you get some of the picture, but maybe not the whole picture. And then you have this fire coming out of the dragon's mouth. So here is something outside of the self that is illuminating. But here is a fire that comes from the belly that also has the same ability. But over here, this energy is villainized, vilified, and demonized because it has this ability from within it to produce this flame, whereas other people would kind of sort of have to get a torch to light it. So maybe there is a sort of jealousy here that goes on within the environment or within certain social circles. But again, with the Ace of Cups and the Three of Pentacles being overall, it's like you need to find a space where other people can celebrate you and not be jealous of you and your gifts or whatever, right? Where they don't feel threatened by you shining or you doing whatever it is that you do, where they'd actually want to support you. right? And then that's the Seven of Wands. It's like it's got you in this state where you could move, but you'd rather be sort of tied up and bound. This is like an anti Seven of Wands energy for me. Because usually the Seven of Wands is the energy of advantage in a situation. It's having the high ground. It's coming off of a victory and still feeling that, like, yes, where other people are intimidated and they're shaking, right? But this is like the opposite. For whatever reason, it's like, and honestly, the reason is because you keep yourself tied up and bound and you can't move. But because you do this to yourself, or because you allow other people to do this to you, it puts you in a space of constantly being at disadvantage, right? Because you're always muting yourself, because you're always toning it down, because you don't want to be too much or say too much, or, with this fire, like you're afraid you're going to get caught. You're going to turn into like a human torch, and not the Fantastic Four human torch, but a human torch where you're just on fire. Um, but again, there's this call to sort of like free yourself from the burdens that others would put on you. Now we come over here with this King of Swords again, girl. The King of Swords been haunting me, y'all. She been haunting me. She come up in all kinds of decks. Actually, like, she's been on a bit of a sabbatical. She's been on a hiatus. I ain't really seen her too heavy, but she came out like how many times today? But with this Viking, especially coming over here, the Four of Swords into the King of Swords, I feel like in this moment of silence is where you claim your truth. But instead of coming into the Five of Swords, needlessly, aimlessly cutting and slashing at anything after this Four of Swords, it's like you find the truth of who you are in this Four of Swords. And so it puts you in a space to be able to defend yourself if you have to, but that's not all you do. And the Vikings are also voyagers, right? They're also explorers. They go to different lands and they do stuff, right? And so it puts you in this like explorative, courageous energy, this mental expansion, this ability to see with Aquarian energy a little bit into the future, and the ability to see things in a more ideal way rather than the way that it sort of worked in the past. But again, it's like when you find this community with this Three of Pentacles and this Ace of Cups that can support your vision, again, it's like you can defend yourself, but it's going to be people that you shouldn't necessarily have to constantly fight and argue with, right? It's a shift in dynamic. Now over here, we get the Queen the Queen of Swords. Wow. So if you chose this pile with the Ace of Cups, with the Three of Pentacles, with the King and the Queen of Swords, y'all might be coming into some kind of union here pretty soon. Maybe potentially, just because we got the King and the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Cups and the Three of Pentacles, which is all about partnership. Now, it may not necessarily be romantic, it could be platonic, but with this Queen of Swords, it's like it's another energy. We have the Amazon and we have the Viking, two fighters. And it's also interesting because I'm seeing this Viking coming to this Amazon's land. And y'all know the Amazons, they probably didn't seen dudes before, but they ain't cool with dudes, but there's something about this dude that catches this girl's eye. And there's something about this girl that makes this dude want to put his life of pillaging and plundering and seafaring behind him. And he kind of sort of want to settle down, but he can't necessarily settle down here because she live in this all-female colony, right? They ain't necessarily hip to dudes like that. And I don't know if she's necessarily ready to cut ties with where she grew up and the land that she knew to come with this dude. And so now they're in this space of a kind of sort of Two of Swords impasse between them, but also in the space with this Three of Pentacles. And blessed by this Ace of Cups, they come where they build something together. And again, with this dragon connected to this Queen of Swords, it's all about perspective, right? Because I feel like the Amazonian or an Amazon's conception, idea of what a man is and how a man should be treated is kind of sort of very specifically aligned in a certain way. But this is about her seeing him in a way that she maybe not necessarily saw other people. And it's about him seeing her in a way that maybe he didn't necessarily see other people. And it's about both of them waking up and coming into their own power. Because if either one of them is asleep, if either one of them is sort of looking at this from a lens where things aren't going to work, it's not going to work, right? It's like they need to come together on equal ground and, I don't know, let the magic happen. It's almost like the rest will do itself, but they both got to wake up. So this is what we're going to do because, they both sleep. And then there's this Ten of Wands. I feel like there's also sort of a similarity between them, maybe in some of their interactions with people in the past, or some of the ways that they've adapted and adopted to survive in these environments that may not have been completely conducive to the fullness of one's own expression. Exactly. And so they're both kind of sort of learning to come into their voice, both learning to come into their power. And at the same time, they're both learning kind of sort of this temperance and strength, this tempered strength lesson of sometimes it's better to, like Eight of Cups, just walk away from a situation that doesn't serve you rather than to continue to try to argue with an energy that cannot be convinced, that is not designed to be convinced. It's just kind of sort of just straight up roadblock, right? Now, the funny thing is that I feel like as you come into this yourself, after a bit of time, or maybe with some minor conflicts, it will get others to sort of see you in a way that sort of aligns. I'm glad I pulled 5 cards. See, it always happens the way it's supposed to. So, with that, I am going to still shuffle up and get my last and final message because I don't count that as a final message, but that was interesting. I didn't even necessarily pick. I never pick when I do these. I hardly ever pick because I forget most of the time. That's fine. I like that last one because I've been seeing the King of Swords a lot, and I would like a reunion. That would be fine. Like, who wouldn't like a reunion, right? Also, I come into the space of like using my voice more, so interesting. And also, I had my sort of Ten of Wands phase where, I was a dragon, but now I'm still a dragon, but I'm a nice dragon. I've learned to control my temper. Or so I thought until this foolishness started happening in the world. And I'm like, really? Like, girl, when did people get so spiritually weak? Oof, goodness. Bottom of the deck is the barbarian. Oh no, it's the centaur, the chariot. Movement. It's happening. Come on, give me the lovers. Give me a king and a queen. Ace of cups. Let's see what we got. The World card, so things are definitely complete. The Ten of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands. Hanuman. This is interesting. So I feel like with the Knight of Wands, the World card, and the Ten of Pentacles, there was this kind of sort of burning of the loins, so to speak, with that Knight of Wands. But, and it's interesting because the Knight of Wands is also running on top of the water. He was like, feelings, haha, who got time for that, girl? I'm just trying to sow the royal seed and get a few trees to sprout or just have a good time. But then that left our Knight of Wands feeling a little thirsty for something else because, I don't know, when you're on top of the water, you can't never get a drink, right? And with this Minotaur, again, it's giving me Taurus energy, but the Ten of Pentacles is a Virgo energy. This is the third decan of Virgo, which is actually Taurus. And so I guess then it makes sense. Virgo is an energy of purification, and fire is also a purifying element. And so, I don't know, maybe there were just some things that this Knight of Wands had to get out of their system, which in my mind is perfectly, like, okay. I may be kind of weird in that, but again, like, I don't know, I can reach outside of myself to get an understanding from different perspectives. Because it's like, it's an energy of exploration with this Knight of Wands. It's a desire to explore before one comes into a space of a sort of finality. But again, it's about understanding that there are many different ways to explore. And the ending of one cycle in one chapter doesn't necessarily have to be the same for everyone. And so whenever we show up, and that's the thing about using your voice. Whenever you show up to a negotiating table and you're in the space of using your voice, you get to dictate and determine what your experience is going to be. But you can't do that if you never speak, right? If you never make your wishes or desires known, then how is anyone supposed to know? And I think that's what this energy is. And it's not only another person, it's also the universe, it's also spirit, right? I saw something today, and someone was like, if someone can't speak to it, then they don't deserve it. And I didn't necessarily agree with that, but that's kind of sort of how some things operate, right? Like, if you can't even speak to certain things, how do you expect to move it from the realm of the moon to the realm of the sun, where you can actually experience it and live in it? Also, I don't know. I'm getting a very an ability to control the storms with this Knight of Wands card. It almost feels like if his disposition turned sour, then a storm would brew over this sea instead of it being as calm as it is now. It's almost like it's all tied to his emotion as well. And so, in order to mitigate the damage, there may be a certain approach that is used. But again, with this Ten of Pentacles, and with this being the element of fire, there's something that had to be addressed, released, purified, gone through in order to close these chapters and close these cycles in a way that they won't repeat in the future. Right? Like, just with the world, there are certain things that need to be left behind. The heavier things, the things that don't quite serve. So that's what I got. This was entertaining. No one took me up on my offer for the card, but that's fine. With that chariot again. Because, girl, I don't know what would have came out. Honestly, I would say, like, after the 26th, maybe after the Lionsgate portal, because we have this Maya New Year coming up. It's the Blue Lunar Storm. Blue Lunar Storm is all about purification. And if you fight that tower, girl, it will rock you. It will rock you like like the Rock'em Sock'em robots punch your head up 5 feet into the sky, right? It's like, girl, you need to take the higher perspective and let the things go that you need to let go. Because the harder you hold on to it, the more the wind is gonna blow and the thunder is gonna strike and the rain is gonna pour down. And so there are a lot of things sort of in transit and in change, and also it's officially Leo season. Also, things don't just change and happen on their own. Everything is cyclic, right? And so your actions affect more things than your inaction. Well, not necessarily. If you want some things to move, if you want that wheel of fortune to move, sometimes you got to move it because it don't always just turn by itself. And you can't always just sit and wait. Like, if you never do anything, don't expect anything to change. I don't know. All right. Thank y'all for coming in. It's been how long? Oh my gosh. Has it really been 2.5 hours? Oof. All right. Bye. Goodness.